As good as Carson Beck was last season, I think he has a chance to shatter some Georgia Bulldog passing records in 2024. That's how good of a season I think he's going to have. But if you all remember, he was already one of the best quarterbacks in college football last year in his first season as a starting quarterback. Of course, we tried to tell y'all months and months, even years ago, how good Carson Beck could be. And last year, he proved it. He was 302 for 417 passing, 3,941 yards. That was third in college football last year, second most in school history. 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. The guy was really, really good, and he's only going to get better next year. I'm going to talk about why. But first, let's go back in time. Let's talk about how good he was last year, because I don't think people realize how good he was and how good he was in the big moments, in the big games. Of course, he grew up at Auburn, leading Georgia to a massive come-from-behind victory against the Tigers, ripping their heart out, going to Brock Bowers over and over again. He made some big-time throws when it mattered most. His best game, though, came against Kentucky, top 25 ranked Kentucky, 389 yards, 4 touchdowns against the Cats. Against the Gators, biggest rival, no big deal. One of the biggest games of this season every year. 315 yards, 2 touchdowns. Against top 10 Ole Miss, 306 yards, I believe. I have written down 206, but I think I just typed wrong. And 2 touchdowns. And then, of course, at Tennessee, a place that's supposed to be, tough to play in, right? Neyland Stadium, Georgia never has a problem going up there and winning big games. He only completed 80% of his passes, threw for just under 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. No big deal, right? Carson Beck was very good. But let's talk about what he needs to do to break some records, right? Of course, in 2022, Stetson Bennett had the best season any Georgia quarterback has ever had. Completed 310 passes and 454 attempts. That's 68% for you math whiz guys out there, you mathematicians. For school record, 4,127 yards, 27 touchdowns. That was 5th in school history. Of course, he had 29 touchdowns the year before in 2021. He was a Heisman Trophy finalist. I mean, had the best season any quarterback's ever had. I think Carson Beck could throw for close to 4,200 yards, which would be a school record. As far as single season touchdowns go, well, Aaron Murray's got that locked up. He threw for 36 touchdowns in 2012, 35 in 2011. If we're talking about career statistics, Aaron Murray's got it. He was a 4-year starter. He's got the most passing yards in school history, and I believe the most passing yards in SEC history. Maybe Will Rogers topped him there, but Aaron Murray's an SEC legend, and I feel like his play, how good he was, is kind of forgotten about. But he threw for 35 touchdowns in 2011, 36 in 2012. Those are the top 2 in school history. I think Carson Beck could throw for 36 touchdowns. Why not? There's been a lot of rushing touchdowns from 1 or 2 yards out. That hurt Stetson Bennett last year. It hurt Carson Beck a little bit this year. Now, those guys aren't about statistics. They're just not. But Carson Beck's got some weapons. Georgia's got some backs for sure. Trevor Etienne, as I get a big text. I've got a dentist appointment today. I think he blew up my phone. I got to get a crown put in. Not super thrilled about it. But right now, we're talking about the Dogs and Carson Beck and his receivers. Colby Young, London Humphreys, Michael Jackson. Those are just the transfers that are coming in to help, right? He's got Dylan Bell. He's got Anthony Evans, who I think is going to be a big-time player. He's got some guys. There's no doubt about it. No Ladd McConkey, no Brock Bowers, no Marcus Rosemy, Jack Saint. But I do think that they're going to be okay from a wide receiver standpoint. So he's got guys who can stretch the field, make some plays. And he's got some running backs too, guys who can catch out of the backfield. He's got my guy, Oscar Delp, at tight end. So the weapons are there. The weapons are there, and if he just does what he does, distribute the ball, make the smart decision, the smart read, he's got a great offensive line in front of him again, a lot of experience coming back, he's going to have a big year. And it's up to him to take that next step, to continue to develop under Mike Bobo, a guy that people are going to hate forever. Carson Beck could break all of these records and Georgia put up 45 points a game. People are still not going to like Mike Bobo if they lose one game. One game. It is what it is. That's just what happens. Mike Bobo has to be the play caller for a national championship Georgia team for him to get the respect that he probably deserves. But again, that's a whole nother video. You can hate on Mike Bobo in the comments all you want. I expect that to happen every time we bring his name up. But Carson Beck, I do think, has a chance to have one of the best seasons any Georgia quarterback has ever had. We've been saying how good he is for a while now, ever since I covered him in high school. He's got a big arm, and he's smart, and he's more athletic than people think. But I think he's going to have to hit more of those deep balls, though. He did everything well this year except consistently hit those deep balls down the field. And he's got some weapons that can stretch the field, but he's going to have to hit those a little more consistency if they want to be an explosive passing attack like they could be. They've got the weapons, and he's got the arm to do it. They just have to execute a little better. I think another year as the starter. I mean, we saw what happened to Stetson Bennett when he knew he was the starter in 2022, coming off that national championship season in 2021. He was so much better. And Carson Beck has that now. Now, we all knew he was going to be the starter coming into this year, but Kirby Smart didn't name it until later. So he went through the spring kind of expecting to be the guy, thinking he was the guy, and we all kind of knew. But now, I mean, he is a returning starter. He's going to be that guy. He's going to get all the #1 reps this spring, except for when they want Gunner to get some here and there just to keep him, his spirits alive and well, getting him some experience with the #1s. But Carson is only going to get better, and that's a scary thought for everyone else. He is one of the best returning quarterbacks in college football. Quinn Ewers at Texas is really good. And there's a few others. DJ Ugalunga down at Florida State. Maybe he takes a step forward. It feels like he's been in college football forever. But there are some good quarterbacks around and guys who I think are going to emerge. But Carson Beck is without a doubt one of the best. Jackson Dart is really good at Ole Miss. Jalen Milroe is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's not better than Carson Beck at playing quarterback. He's a much better athlete. And he can sure run. There's no doubt about that. He is explosive and can create big plays, but he's not the quarterback that Carson Beck is. Carson is a guy who can go from one read to another. We saw that against Tennessee. He was phenomenal. He was on his A game. The footwork is there, the quick release, the football IQ, the knowledge. And when he's got all those weapons, it's just about developing chemistry with those guys. Colby Young could be a game changer. They love London Humphreys. He was just a freshman at Vanderbilt. He could take that next step. Michael Jackson, the kid from USC, he came to Georgia to play. And when he's healthy, he's a guy who I think could emerge and have a strong season. Dylan Bell is one of the best wide receivers in college football. You're not going to tell me any different. He is as versatile as it gets, can do everything, but he made some plays that were truly eye-opening last year and has the potential to be a true game-changing player. So he's a guy that I think Carson Beck is going to look towards often. We'll see if another tight end steps up, but Carson Beck absolutely could improve on his numbers from last year. They were already good, and if he does, he's 100% going to be in the Heisman Trophy conversation. But he's going to be tested. Playing Texas at Texas, going to be tough, but he's played in crazy environments before, mainly at Auburn, and he led a fourth quarter comeback. So he's able to do that. Alabama is not as daunting as we thought it was several weeks ago with Nick Saban. Half the roster's gone. They got a new incoming coach. Georgia should not lose that game, but Carson Beck still has to play well on the road. Going to Kentucky is never easy. Georgia doesn't normally light up the stat sheet, light up the scoreboard when they play at Kentucky. They're going to need him to have a big game, and he might be in a shootout in Oxford, Mississippi on the road. So they're going to need Carson Beck to be at his best several times next year. I think Tennessee is going to take a step forward next year. He's going to have to play really well, even though that game's in Athens, and Tennessee hasn't beaten Georgia since 2016. Those teams don't matter. Carson Beck is still going to have to play really well in that game, and I think he will. So you talk about the offensive line, you talk about him coming back for another year as the starting quarterback. He brings experience. He's got some tailbacks behind him. He's got receivers. I think this sets up for Carson Beck to have a giant 2024 season, be in the Heisman Trophy hunt, and be in a position to lead Georgia to another possible national championship. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure you read everything we have over on Dawg Post. You can sign up to our newsletter. That link is right down below. It's free to sign up, free to read all the stories on Dawg Post, so make sure you do that. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you over on Dawg Post.